Hi guys, today I wanted to do a video that I asked you guys if you wanted me to do on Instagram stories, so make sure you're following me on Instagram if you want to be involved in these things. But yeah, so this is a review/reaction of Insatiable, which is a show on Netflix. The reason I wanted to watch it in the first place was because Alyssa Milano was in it. Alyssa Milano is one of my favorite actresses since Charmed, since Who's the Boss, pretty much for a really long time. And when she announced she was going to be on a Netflix show, immediately I was like, okay, I'm going to watch it, regardless of if it's my kind of show, just to support her. Now, when I found out Debbie Ryan was in it, I really like her because the girl I babysit for used to watch her show on Disney Channel, and I liked her then, and I was just really intrigued by it. When the commercial came out, the original preview, it caused a lot of controversy, and a lot of people were really mad about it because it seemed like it was fat shaming, and I get that. I do think from the initial start, before even watching it, I thought it looks entertaining, but it did kind of hit me the wrong way too. But I do think now that I've watched the entire season, I guess, of 12 episodes, the initial preview was very misleading. I think if you watch the show, even the first half hour of the first episode, you'll get the intent, you'll get that the preview was very misleading. And I think that the preview just made it seem very like there's a girl who's overweight, she's bullied, so she loses weight and feels better about herself. And that would be a very wrong way, I think, to describe the show. I think that would be like describing Friends as just saying like 6 people live in New York, like that, you know what I mean? Like, it's not true to the show if that's the way that you describe it. It's so much deeper than that. I think anyone who's going to judge it by the preview, just ignore those people, because I get that they have a right to be upset, but not really until they've watched it and given it a chance. Like, if you watch it and you don't like it, you don't think it's funny, you don't like the acting, like, fine, that's your choice. But if you're judging it based just on the preview, I don't think that's fair. If I just judged it on that, I'd be missing out, to be honest. So I did watch all 12 episodes in like a 2-3 day period because I'm a crazy person. I think personally I cannot speak to the fat shaming part. Yes, I've done a lot of videos on body shaming and skinny shaming because that's the realm that I know about, but I personally don't think the show is fat shaming. I think it shows a lot of the truth of people who go through weight issues. I think that's kind of where the show gets into an iffy realm, I guess you could say. It's about a girl who loses weight, but she wasn't necessarily ready to lose weight. Think about it as an addiction. Just because someone gets pregnant and they don't drink anymore doesn't mean they're not still an addict, doesn't mean they're not going to struggle for the rest of their life. And that's kind of how this character is. She has addiction to eating. She has, I don't want to call it an eating disorder, maybe it is, but she has an addiction to food. This is a girl who was overweight her whole life, has an addiction to food, and then she's forced to not eat food. She gets her jaw broken and she can't eat solid food, so she loses the weight. That doesn't mean her addiction to food went away. And I think that's something that they're dealing with, and I think they actually did it really well. I don't want to say the show is really PC. I wouldn't say it's politically correct. I think that some people who are very sensitive and get offended by a lot of things aren't going to find it to be great. I found it hilarious. I'm just gonna put that out there. I love this show. I hope they make a season 2. I was addicted to it. I liked it more than 13 Reasons Why. Not that they're comparing each other at all. This is a comedy, 100%. I call it a dramedy. I cried. I laughed. The acting is unbelievably amazing. The first episode, I'm like, this is kind of ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, but it's so good. If you like Shane Dawson's humor, you're gonna like it, I think, and kind of pushes the boundaries, and I think that's important. I think that it starts a conversation. But one thing I also want to mention was the writer of this show went through being overweight herself. She went through being bullied, and this show is what she described as the way she got through that, through humor, through satire, and that's what this show is. So keep that in mind if you're thinking, oh, that's so offensive. And I'm not giving it an excuse to be offensive. I'm just saying it's not meant to be taken super seriously. Although I do think there are parts that are really serious and really important. They talk about topics that a lot of shows steer away from. There's a lot of different topics in this show, and I don't want to say they don't take it seriously. There are a lot of shows out there that will introduce a character being addicted to drugs and then never talking about it ever again. And I think that this show kind of, maybe they touch on a topic one episode and they don't really bring it up again, but it is a comedy. It isn't something meant to be super serious. So I do want you to kind of keep that in mind if you go into it. I also want to say it can be triggering. I think a lot of shows out there can be triggering. If you have a problem with food, this show is going to be triggering for you. Not necessarily. I've seen tons of comments on Twitter of people saying that they do have a problem with an addiction to food, or they are overweight, or they dealt with bullying and fat shaming, and they love it. So I think it really depends kind of how you see it. It's kind of like 13 Reasons Why. Some people could say it was really helpful for them, and other people could say it was horrible and it triggered them. So I really can't, I don't have that problem being triggered by those things, so I can't really talk to that point. But if you are sensitive, or you triggered by people who have issues with food, watching people who have issues with food or weight, this might not be the show for you. So maybe you look at someone else's perspective. I would recommend following Debbie Ryan on Twitter and also Alyssa Milano. They both have been retweeting and liking tweets from people who like the show, and a lot of them are from the other end of the spectrum, people who have dealt with these exact issues and really love it. So I think it's going to be different for everyone. If you're watching this video because you wanted to see if you would like the show or not, I'd give it a chance. I adored it. Literally every episode just kept getting better and better and better. I can't describe how good the acting is. Debbie Ryan, wow. I mean, she knows how to act. And then there's a guy, I don't know the actor's name because I don't think I've really seen him in anything else. I think someone said he was in Law and Order, maybe? But he plays a main character alongside Debbie Ryan. He played Alyssa Milano's husband. And he is probably the best actor on the show. He's probably the best he's one of the best actors I've ever seen, at least based on this performance. This show has so much comedic timing, and I think that's something kind of like The Office has. Like, it just has this timing where they say things at the perfect moment, or it's just so good. I was cracking up watching it. I was also crying at certain scenes. Like, they really were emotional, between mothers and daughters, between friends. I think it deals with a lot of hard topics in a light way. Like, I don't want to say it deals with these topics in the most sensitive way. Like a satire, it helps you deal with these things in a comical way. I think that the main character, she was overweight, she was fat shamed and bullied for her entire life, and this show really focuses on her rage, on how just because she lost weight doesn't mean everything's perfect, doesn't mean she's over it, doesn't mean she has all this confidence now. She's still very sensitive and struggles a lot with self-esteem and thinks people are going to abandon her or not like her or not think she's good enough. She wants to still lose weight. She still doesn't feel comfortable in a bathing suit, and I think that's really important, like an important topic to talk about, because it shows that just because you lost the weight doesn't mean it's magic, doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to feel amazing. There's a lot that goes along with that. You have to depend on the people in your life, and there's a lot of emotional problems that this character goes through. And I think that her rage, I don't want to say it's excused, but her rage was brought on by a lot of things. I don't want to, kind of just be really lighthearted about the fact that people are upset about this, but I do think you should give it a chance. If you thought, this looks kind of like annoying, give it a chance, because you can tell how much effort went into this show. It wasn't just like let's make this comedy show and like throw it out there because we look at like it's going to be like a controversial topic. I don't think that's where they were coming from. Like I said, the writer of the show, of the series, did make a statement about it. I thought it was really touching. I think the intent of the show is so clear. If you don't think that from the preview, I get it, because I didn't really get the preview either. But if you watch even the first episode, I think you'll be hooked. I genuinely do. I think if you like things that are funny and kind of pushing the envelope, you're gonna like it a lot. There's also a scene where the main character's in her bedroom and she has like a ton of throw pillows on her bed, and one of them I have in my room, so I kind of felt connected to it in that way. Sounds so dumb. I've never seen people be so funny and be so sincere at the same time. There's just, the characters on the show are so sincere and genuine and so multi-dimensional. I think that's really important. There's so many shows that just show one side of a character, and this show shows multiple sides. The main character, who's Debbie Ryan, you're not always rooting for her, and I think that's such an interesting way to make a show, because sometimes you are rooting for her, sometimes you feel really bad for her and you want to be on her side, and other times you're like, this girl is freaking crazy, she's evil, she's a terrible person, like I don't want to root for her. I think all the characters have these elements of being selfish and not being selfish, and I think it's so interesting to see that, because not every show is like that. I think there's no other show like this out there. I think the plot is so unique and amazing. They deal with things like possession, and they deal with religion in like a funny, kind of sincere way. From the first episode to the last episode, you would never expect the things that happen, and I'm really good at predicting shows. This show surprised me at every single turn. Every episode you just want to watch the next one, and you just want to watch the next one. I hope that the love for this show is stronger than the hate for it, because it is so good. I can't remember the last time I loved a show this much. I mean, Suits I really loved, but this is just so out of that realm. And the characters are very diverse and very unique. It starts out I think I wrote something down. Where did I write that? I wrote that it was a twisted yet funny version of Pretty Little Liars. It has those elements of like mystery and and you know, suspense and who's gonna sabotage who, but it also has the most amazing humor. I think the outfits are cute, I think the makeup is good, I think everything about it is good. Netflix is very good with their TV shows, I have to say. I think some people are gonna take it the wrong way, then it wasn't intended, and I think that's fine. I've been on the end of skinny shaming where people weren't intending to hurt me or intending to be rude, but you take it that way, you can't help it. This show could do that for some people. Some people are gonna take it the wrong way, but I think that's true to any show you watch. People are gonna take things the wrong way and, you know, be offended by things that maybe they shouldn't be offended by or maybe weren't intended to be offensive. But this show is just so good. I can't even get over it. I guess to say, if you like a lot of the shows I've talked about before, I think you'll enjoy it. I think it shows a character who has an addiction, who has PTSD from bullying, who deals with so much stuff in her life, but yet is still so amusing, still is a decent friend, but is a villain. She has these qualities that push her into the villain zone. I mean, how many villains on movies or TVs have become villains because of what they've been through in their past? And it's not an excuse for them to do the thing that's wrong. That's kind of what this character is dealing with. She's dealing with if she wants to let out the rage she has from being bullied for all these years, or if she just wants to be a good person. Like, she's so dead set on like trying to be a good person and not just caring about herself and not being selfish, but she's also thinks, you know, she's on this level of being a good person versus being a victim of bullying and wanting to get back at people. And it's a very interesting, like, psychological show, but it's so funny. I mean, if you want a funny show that's bright and kind of cheery, but also dark and twisted, you're gonna love this. I can't rave about it enough, to be honest. I think that it deserves way more of a chance than it's getting. So many people need to watch it so we can get a season 2. I didn't realize the last episode was the last episode while I was watching it. And then once it hit the end, I was like, no, I have to know more. I would 100% recommend it to just about anyone, unless you have, like, an issue and being triggered by topics like what I've mentioned. I do think they could benefit from having like a warning in the beginning if you are triggered by things like eating disorders or weight or bullying. Maybe this isn't the best show for you. You know, viewer discretion advised, but I do think if you don't think you'll be triggered by those things, you should watch it. It is so good. If anything I'm saying sounds to you like it'll be good, you'll love this. You will love this show. If you like watching my videos, you'll like this show. And if you don't, I'm sorry to say that you don't, but I think every person in my life I would recommend it to. Give it a chance. Just watch the first episode. I don't think you're gonna regret it. I think you're gonna want to watch all 12 episodes. I was very hesitant about watching it, just like most of you probably are, which is why you're watching this video. I don't want to say people are taking it the wrong way or being offended when they shouldn't, because people have the right to their opinions and what they take offense to, but I think that it's just such a good show, and it's amazing. Watch it. Hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to see more from me, and I'll see you next time.